when America had no name, asterisk asterisk. This story begins in 1492. Across a silent ocean sailed 3 ships. On board was Christopher Columbus, a man who believed he was nearing Asia. When he stepped onto land, he was convinced he had reached India or the edge of Asia. But what he saw told a different story. The land was not empty. There were people, villages, cities, farms, and markets. These were the Native Americans who had lived on this continent for thousands of years. Columbus mistakenly called them Indians because he believed he had reached Asia. He died without ever knowing the truth. Years later, another Italian sailor crossed the Atlantic. His name was Amerigo Vespucci. Amerigo did more than travel. He observed. He studied the coastlines, far longer than Asia's. He measured the stars. They did not match Asian geography. He saw people, cultures, and lands completely different from Asia. Then Amerigo made a bold claim. This is not Asia. This is a new world. His words changed geography forever. In 1507, a European scholar and mapmaker named Martin Waldseemüller created a new world map. He worked within the lands of the Holy Roman Empire. He studied Columbus's journeys and trusted Amerigo Vespucci's writings. He made a historic decision. Across the unknown continent, he wrote a new name. America. The name had no dictionary meaning. It was taken from Amerigo Vespucci's name, written in the Latin style used for lands. At that time, nearly 60 million people lived in the Americas. Great civilizations like the Aztec, Maya, and Inca flourished. Roads, cities, and agriculture rivaled or surpassed Europe. But after European arrival, diseases spread. Wars followed. Colonization destroyed lives. Within a century, up to 90% of the native population disappeared. This was not just a discovery. It was one of the greatest human tragedies in history. And yet, the world came to know that land. America. Why America? The name had no dictionary meaning. It was derived from Amerigo Vespucci's first name, Latinized to America, following the tradition of naming lands in feminine form. It was not meant to honor Columbus. It was meant to acknowledge the man who understood the truth. A name that changed the world. Waldseemüller printed about 1,000 copies of his map. Only one original copy survives today, but the name endured. America spread across maps, books, and minds. A continent had an identity. The cost of discovery. While Europe debated maps and names, tragedy unfolded. European arrival brought diseases like smallpox, wars and violence, forced labor and colonization. Native populations collapsed. Within a century, up to 90% of indigenous people died. This was not just discovery. It was devastation. A land renamed, a people forgotten. America became known to the world, but its original inhabitants were pushed aside. Their cities fell. Their languages faded. Their histories were silenced. Yet they had been there all along. America did not begin in 1492. It did not begin in 1507. It began thousands of years earlier, with people, cultures, and civilizations. And the name that the world remembers was written by a mapmaker, based on the observations of a sailor, who dared to say, "This is a new world." The Iroquois Confederacy governed through councils and shared laws. The Mississippian culture built massive earthen mounds. The Pueblo peoples constructed multi-story homes and irrigation systems. Central America. The Maya mastered astronomy, mathematics, and writing. The Aztec Empire ruled millions from its capital, Tenochtitlan. South America. The Inca Empire built roads across mountains, suspension bridges, and terraced farms. This was not a primitive world. It was complex, organized, and deeply human. Columbus never knew the truth. Columbus returned to Europe convinced of his success. He made 4 voyages to the Americas, and every time, he insisted he had reached Asia. He died in 1506, never knowing he had encountered a completely new continent. But others were beginning to question the truth. Enter Amerigo Vespucci, the observer. Unlike Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci did not just travel. He observed. Sailing along the coasts of South America, Vespucci noticed something strange. The coastline stretched endlessly south. The stars above were unfamiliar. The landmass was far larger than any Asian description. The people and cultures were entirely different. These facts could not be ignored. Amerigo Vespucci reached a revolutionary conclusion. A dangerous idea, a new world. Vespucci wrote letters describing his findings. In them, he made a bold claim. This is not Asia. This is a new world. This idea challenged centuries of geographic belief. To suggest the existence of a fourth continent was radical, even dangerous. But the evidence was undeniable. The map that changed history, 1507. In 1507, a German-speaking scholar and mapmaker named Martin Waldseemüller studied Vespucci's writings. Working within the Holy Roman Empire, Waldseemüller created a new world map. For the first time, the Western lands were shown as separate from Asia. And then, he made a historic decision. Across the unknown continent, he wrote a name.